guys, my name's Jay Shrek and I am the Ogre Man, and I'm back with another video for you. This time I'm going to talk about the new album from Mike Shinoda. It's his first solo album called Post Traumatic. For those of you that don't know, Mike Shinoda is a vocalist for the band Linkin Park, who has last summer sadly lost their lead vocalist Chester Bennington, and because of that loss, Mike Shinoda himself has been mourning and everything, and he went into a way to try to recover from this by going and writing his own songs himself, and he decided to go and record the first few tracks on this album into an EP and see like how popular that would be and everything, and how that turned out. And because those songs became popular for the most part, and a lot of people were supporting him when making this music, he came out with a full-length LP featuring a lot of these songs about how just he felt and just how he's going through recovery and mourning and everything, and trying to understand kind of like what's happening and trying to become a better man and hopefully find his way and everything within his future. So that's pretty much just a good summary of what the album is at its core. And I can say that after listening through Shinoda's whole album, I can say that it's definitely a very well written album, and I really enjoy it a lot. And there are a lot of tracks I like. Specifically, I love about half the album. And then the other half is either mostly, I like it, it's good, but then there's a couple other tracks that I just can't really vibe with. Very well. And I'm gonna get to those songs in just a second. I can also just say that the feeling just in general throughout this album is just very, at times it's just very like sentimental. You get a good feeling of just how all the emotions that Shinoda just built up and is writing down, and how all his feelings and everything throughout each of these songs and everything, and just how they're all just kind of like can pertain to his situation, and how it is. Like some are just very, some are a little sadder, while some are a little like peppier and showing maybe like a little bit of like change and like of his attitude towards things a little bit. And by the end of the album, we do come to a good sense of like how he's starting to feel a lot better and a lot more like hope, and possibly of a better future, and possibly something, and whether or not maybe Linkin Park will return and try to maybe like go through and maybe try to record another album. No, we don't know for sure, but according to what Mike Shinoda has said, that chances of that happening aren't very likely. But that's not what I'm talking about right now. I'm talking about his album Post Traumatic. Now let's start talking about some of these songs. Over Again. This was the first major release and single per se from the Post Traumatic EP. And this song, when I first heard it, there was just something about it that I just really picked up. It's very earwormy. It's just one of those that how he goes over and over and over again, like literally what he's saying over again and everything, just multiple times. It can get, you would think that it would get annoying, but at the same time it's just, it works in its own way, even though it is a bit repetitive. The song just itself works well in this situation, and just the fact that he's saying sometimes you don't say goodbye once, you just say goodbye over and over and over again. It's more or less kind of like an ironic twist, and kind of like saying like you really are kind of like going saying it over and over again, and that he's literally like saying over again, like over and over and over again type of thing. So the irony, or I guess that's the word that I'm trying to use, But just how that is placed and everything, it's very like symbolic in a sense of like what he's actually saying and how it just fits that situation. Nothing makes sense anymore. That is the next song that I wanted to talk about. This was another song that was released later when the album was announced, and this was the second or the third song I officially heard from the album, next to Place to Start, which is the starting track on this album. That song definitely, back to Place to Start, I do want to just say that that song did start off the album very well and just gave you a good sense of just how the album is going to feel overall. Back to Nothing Makes Sense Anymore though. This song just has a good feeling to it. It's you hear a lot more of Shinoda singing versus a lot of his raps, like from Over Again. Just the way his singing voice has developed over the years and everything. Like, he didn't sing that much when he was back with Linkin Park. I think he might have sang a little bit as with his Fort Minor project, and in the latest album with Linkin Park, I know on the song Invincible, he did sing the chorus and everything and a lot throughout that song. That song was his, and he did a good job on that track, but just the way his singing vocals just developed from there to like this album and on this track specifically, I think was very well done, and just you hear a lot more raw emotion in his voice, and it just sounds a lot more prominent and a lot more relatable with not just the lyrics in general, but just to the feel and everything. It just feels a lot stronger, and it's a lot more standout than in his previous works. About You. That is the next song I wanted to talk about. This song features Black Bear, who I am not particularly a fan of, but his position in this song wasn't awful, but I didn't love it either. So like, this song I have some mixed emotions about. I'm leaning a little more towards like I'm on like the verge of like a like and love degree on this song, but it was definitely one that was worth mentioning because you get some of those like almost like trappier kind of beats and everything, and just how the song feels. And with Black Bear's little part and everything, like, it doesn't really overpower the song too much, and it really isn't as much of his song because it really isn't his song. It's Shinoda's song, but Shinoda, he shines in the verses very well, and like I said, Black Bear just doesn't overpower the song too much, so it just has a very good feel that I just really enjoy, and just how the song, it just works a lot better than I thought it was going to, and I can definitely say this is one song that I probably will be coming back to more often than I would have thought initially. Promises I Can't Keep. Now, this song is one of the two songs that I can say almost kind of remind me of kind of like a little bit of a later Linkin Park kind of vibe. This song just has that feeling of almost like a One More Light song, maybe a little bit of something maybe like from like 11 Things, but a little bit more One More Light than 11 Things, but it's the way the song just feels along with his vocals and everything on this song. It's just very prominent, and I love that, just the fact that it reminds me of Linkin Park, and it's just a very standout song in my opinion on this record. Crossing a Line. Now, this song was the first official single release from the album, and I initially when I first heard this song, like, it didn't really stand out to me as much until like I started hearing it on my local alternative station, where it just kept playing, and just how that chorus is and how it just sounds like it's very almost like poppy alternative kind of style to it, but it works. In Mike Shinoda's voice, like I said, his singing voice has really developed a lot, and I feel like it stands out a lot on this song, even though there is kind of like some auto tuning going on within it. It still sounds good, and it still sounds like something that I would enjoy. And it's a lot more upbeat and a little happier sounding than some of the other songs, but at the same time, it's just, this is one of those happier moments per se on the album, and I do enjoy this song a lot. Hold It Together. Now this was one of the first songs that I didn't really care for as much. I wasn't sure at first, like listening to it, I'm like, but the more I listen to it, it's just kind of like, okay, like this, it's just one of those songs that seems to like drag on a little bit and bog down the album. I'm not saying I don't like it at all. It's just I don't really care for it either. Like if I was gonna skip anything on the album, this song would probably be one of the first songs I would skip. Make It Up As I Go. Now this song features that K-Flay, and I don't really know who K-Flay is to begin with, but it's this woman apparently, and her feature and everything, I don't really get it. This song just sounds very poppy. I understand that there are some other songs on this album that are just poppy in general, but I just don't really get this song. I don't vibe with it very well. I just don't particularly have a good sense of feeling of how this song sounds, and I just probably won't be coming back to this song very much. Lift Off. Now, this song I did enjoy a lot. This song features Machine Gun Kelly, MGK, and his feature on this track actually works very well against Shinoda's raps and everything. They're both kind of like spitting bars, and just how it just comes out, it just sounds very well done, and the chemistry between that, it just sounds good overall, and I do enjoy this song a lot. So I'll be coming back to this song quite a bit, definitely whenever I do play through this record. World's on Fire. This song is the second song that I have a good sense of feeling just how it feels like a lot like a Linkin Park song as well. It has kind of like those rockier elements from like Living Things. This song has more of a Living Things influence more than that other song I was talking about, Promises I Can't Keep. So just how this song just felt, it just felt, the feeling just behind it was with that rock style and everything. It worked. It was very reminding of that Linkin Park style and everything, and just how Shinoda really embraced that, and at the same time is really like getting his meaning and what he wants out and everything throughout the song just really fits the bill. And to end this record, we end with Can't Hear You Now, which is probably referring to the fact that he can't, that now that Bennington is now gone, and where Shinoda is in his spot right now and everything, that he doesn't hear him like anymore, and like he doesn't feel like hung on to him, and like he's not trying to like keep that holding on to him. That's almost kind of like what this song sounds like, and it's really a good closing track to this record, and it's a really good standout song on this album, and I can definitely say that this song is also probably one of my favorites. Probably right next to Nothing Makes Sense Anymore and Lift Off. Those three are definitely probably my three favorite songs on this album if I had to choose favorites. But otherwise, the other remaining 6 songs on this album, they were just kind of like average. They sounded good. I get that they might be very meaningful and have good meaning behind them and everything, and that Shinoda poured his heart into these songs and all that, but they just didn't. I don't love them, but I do like them, and I definitely like them enough that I definitely will be coming back and listening to this album probably a lot more than I initially thought. And initially when I was going into this album, I thought that this whole album was going to be more like what I thought the 6 remaining songs that I'm not really going to be talking about too much, but just how it just kind of feels like it was going to be just an average album. But it turned out to be a lot better than I thought, and between the number of songs that I love versus the number of songs that I like, and the number of songs that I don't really care for as much, like, just that like and love power is just overpowering that negative parts of it. So I probably will be able to listen through the album pretty much all the way through from beginning to end. Now, whenever I did my ratings in the past, I used to go on a scale of percentage, but I feel like that was a bit like harsh and everything, and I just didn't get a good sense of like how that rating like felt and everything. So I'm gonna start rating on a scale from 1 to 10 instead. And with this album, I can definitely say that I am definitely gonna give this album a solid 90%, or not 90%, but a solid 9 out of 10. It would be 90% though, but definitely a good 9 out of 10. And like I said, I love this album, and I hope you guys will like the album as well. So please let me know what you do think about the album in the comment section down below. And as always, don't forget to like the video and subscribe for more content. One other thing before I go, I do want to say that also I have a really good friend that really likes this album as well. And because he really likes this album, I am going to support his project that he's been working on. It's called The Haunt. That's the lowercase the, no space in between that and haunt, but all the rest of the letters are capital, like spelled haunt, H-A-U and T, but parentheses around the A. So that's how it's spelled. So if you can find his podcast and listen to it, you might actually see a feature of me in one of his podcasts. And so if you like the material that I've produced and everything, you'll probably like a lot of his stuff too, especially since it covers a lot of like paranormal stuff, and like a lot of like spooky, interesting mysteries and stuff like that. Like the one that I was in, we were talking about aliens from other planets and everything. So if you want to give that a look, I highly suggest that you do. I will leave a links in the description to both the iTunes and Google Play, so you can check those out if you want to. So like I said before, I hope you like this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.